Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's lesson we are going to talk about the classical music period. And when we're talking about the classical music period, remember we're talking about the Western music period, and this period happened around 1710 to almost 1850. Now, it was a period that music that was associated with the top class, or music for the elite. Now, what are the main characteristics of the classical music period? One of the main characteristics of the classical music period was texture. Classical music period texture was mainly homophonic. Homophonic simply means that we have a melody line that is being accompanied by chords below it. The second music characteristic of the classical music period was about dynamics. Remember the Baroque period, the dynamics were mainly terrace dynamics, meaning that a performer could come from very high to very low, very soft, suddenly, without moving gradually. But in classical music period, composers and performers began using gradual changes of dynamics, whereby they could use the crescendos and the minuendos in their performances. Now, when looking at the tonality as a characteristics of the classical music period, the tonality was mainly in major and minor keys, and modulations were mainly to the dominant or to the subdominant or the relative minor. So, when going back to rhythms, classical music period composers used simple rhythms, rhythmic patterns, regular and also irregular rhythmic patterns, and emphasis was put on the balance. The balance and symmetry was one of the major emphasis that composers of the classical music period tried to achieve. Now, moving to melodies, the melodies of the classical music period were mainly short, 4 bars to 8 bars long, and these bars had clear defined cadences at the end of the melodies. Also, the classical music period, when you have something called the Alberti bass, which was one of the main characteristics that was developed by a person named Domenico Alberti. The Alberti bass was simply playing a broken chord using your left hand, and it was one of the main characteristics of the classical music period. And also we can talk about the instrumentation. Classical music period was mainly instrumental. The music was the focus was put on instrumental than vocal, with genres, e.g. sonatas, trios, and more others. And remember, in the classical period, the sonata form became the most important design in music. Now, those are some of the main characteristics of the classical music period. Okay, in conclusion, when talking about classical music period, remember that you're talking about the music period that happened in Europe at around 1750 to 1810. And this music period is associated with the countries, e.g. Germany, Italy, France, and Austria. Those are just some of the countries that are associated with classical music period. And if you have learned something from this lesson, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, share it with the other musical learners. Also, you can leave a comment and a correction or a suggestion. And thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel.